very good morning. Welcome to another edition of Success Precept Maximizing Your Potential. And today is the fourth on the series Maximizing Your Potential, looking at three basic questions. What is potential? Why is it important for us to maximize potential? And then why are we not maximizing potential? So much has come our way. I'll let Mr. Kanu Emejiwe, who's in the studios, to probably do a recap if there is a need to do any, and let's see how we can conclude today. Uncle K, good morning.
Morning, Sammy. Thank you very much. Over the past couple of weeks, we have painstakingly explained the process of discovering, harnessing, and activating your potential. I use the word painstaking because we've done this over 3 episodes,
yes,
and carefully gone into bits and pieces, dissected this thing, because there are lots of messages about potential and maximizing it. And I thought that we should do this differently so that people will have understanding. You see, my belief is that you must first understand how something works before you can work it, before you can use it.
Okay.
If you don't know how something works, you're just going to abuse it.
Certainly.
Good. So it's not enough to say do it, like most people say when they talk about potential. Oh, maximize your potential, go after it, be the best you can be. No, we must first understand how to do this. How. That's why we have gone through this very, very carefully. As much as we're going to try to round up today, I hope we can. It's important, see, because I didn't set out to motivate you. This is actually a motivational topic. And if I wanted to excite you, I could do that very easily, because when we talk about potential and what you can be, people get all excited about it. Yes. When I tell you can be anything and all that. So I didn't set out to motivate you, because motivation is not enough. I set out to teach you. This is the key. I'd like us to first look at a question that was asked last week. I remember very clearly that somebody talked about what the role of education is. In our personal development. Yes, if we're talking about potential and understanding, we're talking about wisdom and understanding coming from the inside. What's the place of education?
Academics.
Yes, because you see, I think that's a very good question. I think it's an astounding question, and I'm happy because it shows that at least somebody was listening. You know, when you get certain questions, you are very happy about it, because it means that somebody's listening to you. It's not just you're not just talking to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a good question, because if you don't look carefully, there might look like some contradiction when I say everything you need is already inside you. And then I said man lost it in the garden
when he began to look outside, because
the devil had helped him lose sight of what was in him and pointed his attention to what was outside. And since then, man has looked for knowledge from the outside. So I know that's where the question came from. I expected it. At least I expected somebody who's listening will see that and say, okay, if you're saying this, what does it mean that we shouldn't acquire education? What's the place of education? It's a very good question, and I thought we should answer that before we now go into examining why we so desperately are broken and how we can fix it, which is the last part of this program. You know, what's happening? What can we do about it? You know. So this thing about education, let me simply start. Let me point out a few things about education that we might not understand. The first thing, let me start by saying, and I think I said this briefly last week, that education as we know it is a means, not an end. This is where the first problem people have. People go to acquire education or some degree
as an end.
So you often hear people say, I'm a degree holder in this area, I'm a graduate in this. That's a lot of cock and bull. I'm going to try to express myself without getting upset. It's because ignorance is a problem. It's not an end. It's a vehicle. You're going somewhere. It's a vehicle to get you there. Good. Now, the second thing I want to say is that how do I put it? Education is you're acquiring the basic tools of analytical thinking and expression. I repeat myself. Education is you're acquiring the basic tools. Basic tools. What for? Analytical thinking. This is where the problem is.
Okay.
When people think education is an end in itself.
Okay.
Education actually is the tool for your mind to be able to do proper analysis. That's why we have this brain dead syndrome in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria. where people have refused or don't have the capacity to think out solutions. And the educational system in Africa is built in such a way that it encourages people to how do I put it? Learn for learning's sake. That's why you have cramming. It doesn't encourage people to have critical thinking for capabilities. Yeah. That's where the problem is. So when you are confronted with a problem, you can't think out of that problem because what you know is crammed. That's why you hear people say, I've heard this a lot of times, I'm still yet to see the use of all those things we learned when we were in school. The Y, the X, if it's math or pronouns and nouns. People say that a whole lot. That's just ignorance. It's really stupid. Somebody says, for example, I don't see when you are learning maths in school and they say the Y, the X, you go, oh my God, these people are giving me a headache. And then now you have graduated in your own mind and you are thinking, I don't even see what those things were for. That's why you are where you are. Let me explain to you that even the mobile phone that you are using, that your life is so dependent upon, all the applications that you every day are printing, that's the Y, the X. Oh my God. Yeah. That's the Y, the X. Yeah. The Y, the X is the foundational knowledge. That's why I said it's acquiring the basic tools. So that the Y, the X that you are run out of school for, jumping missing classes and then saying math is not your thing. That's what's propelling the mobile phone and all the technological breakthroughs. Math is an underlying factor.
And the man that is his thing is automatically above you.
Yes.
You have to buy from him. You have to pay him all the time. He remains your boss somewhere, somehow.
It's taken for granted. Yeah. You are the one who's ignorant. Yeah. You just sit down there saying, I don't see what... You see, when somebody says that thing, let me explain to you. When somebody says, I don't see what all those things I learned, the applications in real life, no, that person is, first of all, you're ignorant. Two times, you're not creating anything. Oh, but Jesus Christ. That's
what's... When you check our curriculum, when you check how it is that knowledge is impacted, our teachers and how these things are brought to, bear while in class, you just don't understand how it applies.
And that's because, you see, now you pass the blame to your teachers and you pass the blame to the system. I do agree that the system is not what it should be. I do agree that the teachers are not what they should be. But I don't agree that there's no role you can play.
At least at this stage.
Especially in an information age like we have today. The thing is that because you don't know why you are doing what you are doing. You're just in school. You don't know why you're in school. That's why it looks like it's problematic. So you need to hurry up and graduate and get past this stage of life and bag your certificate and keep it somewhere and move on. All you do is use it to brag or use it to look for a job. I'm a graduate in this. You study geology and you just think it's for fun. You study food science technology and think it's for fun. You study psychology and think it's for fun. I'm not even talking about medicine and all those other ones because you can even see the immediate practical use of such courses like medicine and engineering. And not in Nigeria because engineering again is a big problem here. We have engineers that build buildings that collapse, but that's a different thing entirely. That's a problem. I'm serious because you haven't understood why you're doing. See, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, that thing will be ridiculous. Remember what I said that what we have tried to do is to teach you so that you will know not just what, but how and why. If you're in school just fooling around, that's a problem. So education is you're acquiring basic tools, because that's the foundation of anything that you will do. Of analytical thinking and expression that facilitates your contribution to the advancement of humanity. I'll repeat that education is your acquiring basic tools of analytical thinking and expression. I'm putting the expression because if you're unable to express yourself, if you're unable to express, I'll come to that when I give my examples. If you're unable to express what you're thinking, then you haven't evolved fully. And that's why I said the reason for all this is to facilitate your contribution to the advancement of humanity. It's not for you to say you have a degree. And the thing is that if you look at your life, you're not contributing to anything. That's why you're not educated as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not just talking about formal education because people don't think, okay, these people that went to school have come. And that's how they think. It's not just formal, even informal education. When you learn things, in fact, the informal is even more critical in application because when those things you learn, that's why we had polytechnics. And the polytechnics are trying to become universities. It's very ridiculous. Okay. The polytechnics are the ones that are supposed to give you practical know-how, hands-on knowledge that you can immediately see and apply into something. But they now want to be universities. So they can get degrees and look for jobs. Oh, Jesus Christ. So you can get degrees and look for jobs. No application. But it's in the polytechnics that people learn how to build and create things. Learn how to. I didn't say that's where they get. That's not the reservoir of knowledge, but that's where they're able to practicalize things.
Okay.
You're not contributing to the advancement of humanity. That's why you're confused. Now, the third thing I want to say about education, very important. Education gives you what I would call awareness or informational knowledge. Now, this is where I'm trying to draw the distinction
between the role of education and then what potential is.
And what potential is. Education gives you awareness or informational knowledge, which is basically historical. It does not give you what I will call breakthrough or transformational knowledge.
Okay. There's a line of difference.
Yes, this knowledge again. This one I just said again is in itself transformational. That's because you had not looked at it like this. So when I talk about knowledge, you get confused. When I say knowledge is inside you, you get confused. Because I said, man, start looking outside for knowledge. And you're saying, does that mean that he shouldn't look outside for knowledge? In other words, shouldn't he look for education? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying education gives you informational knowledge. It's very important. But it does not give you transformational knowledge. The knowledge that will transform your existence is inside you. That's where your potential is. The knowledge that will give you awareness of your world and your environment, that's where education is. I'm waiting for you to ask a question. I can go on. I can go on. Okay. This distinction is very important. I think this is where you can now separate the two.
Yes.
Education is from the outside. It gives you informational knowledge, which I said basically is historical. What do I mean by that? Somebody else had already provided that knowledge. What you are studying was written by somebody else. Mm-hmm. Do you understand my point? That's all it is. Somebody else, you're going to read what somebody else, what generations have done. Thank you. Up until your time of existence.
I agree with you.
But the one that will transform your existence from now to the future, which what I call future knowledge, is inside you. This is where people get lost. See, you need education, quite all right. Because I said it's historical knowledge. What's important of this historical awareness? You must know, you must have information of what is happening around you, what has happened. Why? In the first case, you don't have enough time to start from scratch each time. You want to invent something. You have to go to Genesis 1:1. God in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and start walking through every discovery that man has had in that area you are pursuing to get to the point where you are to now give the knowledge that you have. You know you're here for a finite time.
Yeah. Just like we said, you don't have all the time to live forever to become anything you can
exactly
become.
What we said before.
This area now, you don't have all the time to go all the way back.
If you had enough time, remember they've said that before, you can become everything.
Anything and everything.
Good. So if you have enough time, there's nothing, no area of human endeavor that you can't delve in. Forget this one, they say, oh, this person is good in art, this person is good in science. It's just areas of your passion, the ones that will come to you naturally, ones you will enjoy. So we advise you to pursue those areas because there's less resistance there. But there's no other area that you enter into that you can still not make something out of. You can create something from there. All you have to do is learn what's going on. That's informational. Understand what has been done before you. Informational education. When you get there, you understand what has been done before you. Then you now search inside you to find what needs to be done now that you're here. How does it? I don't know, you want to say something?
Yes, you said search inside you.
Yeah, that's where you now go for transformational knowledge. That's where you go for breakthrough knowledge. It's inside you, it's not outside.
And oftentimes we ask, how do we bring that thing out?
We will get. I think I've talked so much about bringing it out. I talked about your spirit, man. It's in your spirit, man. It's in your spirit, man. It's in your spirit, man. When people ask me how, that's why when we conclude, I will tell you why people can't. This disconnection is there. Why there is a disconnect. Why this question? How I've been saying it for the past 3 weeks. It's in your spirit, man. The reason why you are not able to access it is because your mind is in control. And your mind feeds basically on information. Your mind needs information. And you confuse the two to think that information is transformation. But information is not transformation. Information will lead to transformation. But it's not in itself transformation.
Okay.
So you need education, because you cannot and you should not reinvent the wheel each time. You can't start from scratch. That's the problem when you see all these what I call pseudo inventors. Somebody comes up and shows you a picture on Facebook or wherever and tells you, oh, this guy is wonderful. He had just made a prototype helicopter, blah, blah, blah. He didn't invent anything. The helicopters have been there. That's arrant nonsense. Look, show me. Those things annoy me. He didn't invent anything. Helicopters have been there. In fact, that's why he made is a sham. It will crash. It will kill somebody. It's a toy. Very often when you look at those things, they're toys. The person is attending to this.
Yeah, the rating had been. I agree with you.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
So they come and show you, oh, this person, he has made a prototype car, and you see somebody that welded 6 pieces of tinker together and put in one small KK engine, and then put one this and say that you are inventing the wheel. Cars are there. Cars have almost started talking to. There are cars that drive themselves now.
Yeah.
And there you are welding tinker together and saying that you have done some breakthrough. That is not true. And the people encouraging you, that's not true. You are reinventing the wheel, and it's unnecessary. What you need to do is take the wheel that has already been invented and do something else. Transformation. This is where the disconnect. That's why people get confused about this thing. See, when you break through with knowledge, in other words, when you bring out something inside you that was there, it becomes awareness or informational knowledge for the next generation.
Okay.
Because what you have up until when you came is information from previous generations, which I said you don't have to go back and start reinventing the wheel. It's already been done. Go and read, go and study, get information. Then come to where the wheel is existing and see what dimensions, what you can apply the wheel to achieve, to solve problems in the society, today.
Yes.
That's information that will come from inside you. That's knowledge that will come from inside you. That's power that is already resident in you. That's the key. That's why I said, when you fail to maximize your potential, humanity suffers. Because if you don't bring transformational knowledge while you exist, a vacuum is created in that specific area of life until somebody else comes along and fulfills that thing that you are supposed to do. It will never be done. Let me close with this illustration that I did last week. I said, let's use a musician or a sculptor. The genuine musicians hear music in their head. They lie down, they sleep, they hear the rhythm. They hear the rhythm. They don't hear what somebody else has created. They don't take it from outside. They don't take it from outside. They bring it from inside. Transformation. That's why when they come out with the music, it hasn't been heard before. But if they hear music on the inside, the process of translating it and giving it expression comes by the vehicle of education. That thing, the fact that you are now able to sit down and write it out in a way that it can be heard by others.
Okay.
That's the educational part.
I remember you using the word express.
Express. You can't hear rhythm in your head and go back to the beginning of time and start trying to find out how to write music. You see the kind of way colossal. It's a waste of time.
You must.
Somebody else has done that. Somebody else has done that.
Yes.
So the fact that you have, I'll give you a good example. The fact that you go to school to study music does not make you a musician.
Yes.
It doesn't. You could even be a noisemaker. How many times you go to church, people are making noise and say that they're praising God? They have not gone inside to find something that to praise God with. What they have looked at is on the outside, heard people's noise, other people's own, and try to modify it. And once a musician does that, it's copyright infringement. He's no longer creating music; he's copying music. Same thing with like a sculptor. I talked about that. A sculptor can see a piece of wood. You just see a piece of wood, but a sculptor sees a design inside. What he's seeing is what is on the inside of him. There's a connection. But the process of bringing it out, chipping away, you know, and he has to use a chisel, a saw, and that's education. He will see a piece of wood and use his teeth and start to attack it like a savage because he can see it. No, he will now know. He will have learned how to use wood and use chisel and all the other instruments, just like art. Use paint, use brushes. That's education. But the design, the what he's creating, this sculpture, is from inside him. The music is from inside him. What is wrong? Why, like you said, why are we not able to do all this?
Well, we're unable to. Well, we're not unable to. Okay, I want to believe you have another reason. Okay, it's been a long one, but for all it's worth, all right. Rather than just see how to end the program or end this series, no, we'll take all the time. He did mention painstakingly. All right, so we're able to reveal the gray areas, all of the areas where understanding was not there. We will get as much knowledge as we need. So when we end, at the end of the day, we hope that you really work with it. That each of us will look inward. Each of us will look at the areas where God has graced us exceptionally. We are all graced exceptionally in one area or the other. That is, at the end of this we'll be able to look inwards and have lives be transformed. Thank you so much for staying with us on Success Precepts today. And thank you so much to Mr. Kanu Emejiwe. I am Sam Ibeji.